हाय गाइस, वेलकम बैक टू माय चैनल। तो आज हम डिस्कस करेंगे क्लास 12 एनसीईआरटी बायोलॉजी चैप्टर 2 ह्यूमन रिप्रोडक्शन। ये चैप्टर नीट के एग्जाम के लिए 3 या 4 क्वेश्चन का वेटेज रखता है। तो यहाँ पे हम सारे के सारे इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक डिस्कस करने वाले हैं कम से कम समय में, ताकि आप इस चैप्टर को कम से कम समय में पूरा की पूरा रिवाइज कर सके। और मैं आपको गारंटी देता हूँ कि मैं आपको जो भी पढ़ाऊँगा, जो भी बताऊँगा, वहाँ से आपका एक भी क्वेश्चन छूटने वाला नहीं है नीट के एग्जाम में। तो चलो स्टार्ट करेंगे एनी विदाउट वेस्टिंग टाइम। अगर आप इस चैनल पर नए हो तो सब्सक्राइब, शेयर, लाइक जरूर करना है। तो चलो स्टार्ट करेंगे। ह्यूमन्स आर सेक्सुअली रिप्रोडक्शन एंड विवापेरस। तो ह्यूमन सेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन करता है और विवापेरस एनिमल से। फॉर्मेशन ऑफ गेमेट्स, गेमेटोजेनेसिस, ट्रांसफर ऑफ स्पर्म इनटू द फीमेल जेनिटल ट्रैक्ट, insemination, fusions of male and female gamete, fertilization, development of the blastocyte, attachment to the uterine wall, implantation, embryonic development, gestation, delivery of the baby, parturitions. Sperm formation continue to even in old men, but formation of ovum in cases in women around the age 15 ईयर। तो यहाँ पे स्पर्म का प्रोडक्शन जो होता है वो लाइफ टाइम तक होता है, और जो ओवम का प्रोडक्शन होता है वो ओनली 15 ईयर्स तक ही होता है फीमेल्स में। तो फीमेल्स 15 ईयर के एज तक ही क्या कर सकती है, बच्चे को जन्म दे सकती है, और मेल लाइफ टाइम तक। नेक्स्ट टॉपिक है मेल रिप्रोडक्टिव सिस्टम। Scrotum. The scrotum help in maintaining the low temperature of the testis to minus 2.5 degrees Celsius lower than the normal internal body temperature. Accessory for the spermatogenesis in an adult. Each testis is oval in a shape with a length about 4 to 5 centimeter and width about 2 to 3 centimeter. Testis is covered by the dense covering. Each testis has about 215 compartments called testicular lobules. Each lobule contains 1 to 3 highly colored seminiferous tubules in which sperm are produced. Each seminiferous tubule is lined on its inside by 2 types of the cell called male germ cell, spermatogonia and Sertoli cells. The male germ cell undergo mitotic divisions finally leading to the sperm formation, while Sertoli cell provide nutrition to the germ cell. The regions outside the seminiferous tubules called interstitial space, containing small blood vessel and interstitial cell or leading cell. Leading cell synthesize and secrete testicular hormones called androgens. The male sex accessory duct, rete testis, vasa efferentia, epididymis, and vasa deferens. Enlarged end of the penis is called the glans. Penis is covered by the loose fold of skin called foreskins. The male accessory gland, including pair of seminal vesicles, prostate, and pair of bulbolateral glands. Secretion of this gland constitute the seminal plasma, which rich in fructose, calcium, and certain enzymes. The secretion of the bulbolateral glands also help in the lubrication of penis. The female reproductive system. Female reproductive system consists of pair of ovaries along with the pair of oviducts, uterus, cervix, vagina, and the external genitalia located in a pelvic regions. This part of the system along with the pair of the mammary glands. Each ovary is about 2 to 4 centimeter in a length and is connected to the pelvic wall uterus by the ligaments. Each ovary is covered by a thin epithelium which encloses the ovarian stroma. The stroma divide into the 2 zona, peripheral cortex and inner medulla. The oviduct, fallopian tube, uterus and vagina constitute the female accessory duct. Each fallopian tube is about 10 to 12 centimeter long and extend from the periphery of the each ovary to the uterus. The parts closer to the ovary is funnel-shaped infundibulums. The edge of the infundibulum possess finger-like projections called fimbriae, which help in a collection of the ovum after ovulation. The infundibulum lead to the Wider part of oviduct called ampulla. The last part of the oviduct, isthmus, has a narrow lumen and it is joined to the uterus. The uterus is single, it also called worms. The shape of the uterus is like an inverted sphere. It is supported by the ligament attached to the pelvic wall. The uterus open into vagina through narrow cervix. The cavity of the cervix is called the cervical canal, which along with the vaginas form a birth canal. The wall of the uterus has a 3-layer of tissue: the external thin membranous perimeteriums, middle thick layer smooth muscle myometeriums, inner glandular layer called endometeriums that is lined to the uterine cavity. The endometeriums undergo cyclic change during the menstrual cycle, while the myometeriums exhibit strong contraction during the delivery of the baby. Female external genitalia include mons pubis, labia majora, labia minora, hymen and clitoris. Mons pubis, cushion of the fatty tissue covered by the skin and pubic hair. Labia majora are facially fold of the tissues. The labia minora are the parietal fold of the tissues under the labia majora. The opening of the vagina often covered by the partially by the membranes called hymens. The clitoris is the tiny finger-like structure which lies at the upper junction of the two labia minora above the uterine openings. यहाँ पे वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट लाइन छुपी हुई है. द हाइमन इज द ऑफ्टन टर्न ड्यूरिंग द फर्स्ट कोट्यूस इंटरकोर्स, हाउएवर इट इज ऑल्सो बीन ब्रोकन बाय द सडन फॉल और jolts and insertion of the vaginal tampon. The activity of participations in some sport like horseback ridings and cyclings in some of the women is the hymen is persistent even after coitus. In fact, the absence of hymen is not a reliable indicator of virginity of sexual experience. A functional mammary gland is a characteristic of all female mammals. The mammary gland are a paired structure breasted that contain glandular tissues and variable amount of fat. The glandular tissue of each breast is divided 15 to 20 mammary loops containing cluster of the cell called ovules. The cell of ovules secrete milk which is stored in a cavities lumen of the ovule. The ovule open into the mammary tubules. The tubules of each loop joined to form mammary duct. Several mammary duct join to the from wider mammary ampulla which is connected to the lactiferous duct through the which milk is sucked out. Gametogenesis. The primary sex organs, the testis is the male and the ovary is the female, produce gametes, sperm and ovum respectively by the process called gametogenesis. In the testis, the immature male germ cells spermatogonia produces sperms by the spermatogenesis that is being at the puberty. The spermatogonia sign of spermatogoniums presence on the inside wall of the seminiferous tubules multiply by the mitosis division and increase in the number. Each spermatogonia is diploid and contain 46 chromosomes. Some of the spermatogonia called primary spermatocytes periodically undergo meiosis. A primary spermatocytes completed the first mitotic division, reduction division leading to the formation of two equal haploid cells called secondary spermatocytes which have only 23 chromosomes each. The secondary spermatocytes undergo the second mitotic division to thus produce 4 equal haploid spermatids. The spermatids are thus transformed into spermatozoa sperm by the process called spermiogenesis. After the spermiogenesis, sperm had become embedded in the Sertoli cell and finally released from the seminiferous tubules by the process called spermiations. Spermatogenesis starts at the age of the puberty due to the significant increasing in the secretion gonadotrophin releasing hormones GnRH This is, if you recall, this hypothalamic hormones increases level of GnRH, then act as the anterior pituitary glands and stimulated secretion of two gonadotrophins, luteinizing hormones LH, and follicle stimulated hormones FSH. LHS act as the leading cell and cell stimulated synthesis secretion androgen. Androgen in turn stimulated the process spermatogenesis. FSH act as the subtly cell stimulated secretion of the some factor which is help in the process called spermiogenesis. Let us examine the structure of the sperm. It is a microscope structure composite of head, neck, middle pies and tail. A plasma membrane envelopes the whole body of the sperm. The sperm head contains an elongated haploid nucleus, the anterior portion of which covered by the cape-like structure ochrosomes. The ochrosome is filled with enzymes that help in the fertilization of the ovum. The middle pies of the possess numerous mitochondria which is produce energy for movement of the tail that facilitates sperm motility, essential for fertilization. The human male ejaculated about 200 to 300 million sperm during the coitus, which for the normal fertility at least 60% of the sperm must have normal shape, size, and last 40% of the must show vigorous motility. The seminal plasma along with the sperm constitute the semens. The process formations of the mature female gamete is called oogenesis, which is markedly different from the spermatogenesis. Oogenesis is united during the embryonic development stage when a couple of million of gametes, mother cell oogonia, are formed within each fetal ovaries. No more oogonia are formed and added after birth. These cells start division and enter into the prophase 1 of the mitotic division and get temporarily arrested at the stage. It's called the primary oocyte. Each primary oocyte then gets surrounded by a layer granulosa cell and is called the primary follicles. A large number of these follicles degenerate during the phase of the birth to the puberty. Therefore, of puberty only 16,000 to 18,000 primary follicles are left in each ovary. The primary follicles get surrounded by a more layer of granulosa cell and nerve theca and called secondary follicles. The secondary follicles once transform into the tertiary follicles, which is characterized by the fluid-filled cavity called anteroms. It is an unequal division resting in the formation of the large haploid secondary oocyte and tiny first polar body. Secondary oocyte retain the bulk of the nutrients-rich cytoplasm of the primary oocytes. At present, we are not very certain about this. The tertiary follicle further change into the mature follicles or graphene follicles. The secondary oocyte formation of nerve membrane called zona pellucida surrounding the graphene follicles now rupture to release the secondary oocyte ovum. From the ovary by the process called ovulations. Next topic, menstrual cycle. The reproductive cycle in the female primates, example monkey, apis and human beings, is called the menstrual cycle. The first menstruations begin at the puberty is called the menarche. Its human females menstruations repeated an average interval of about 28 to 29 days, and the cycle of the event starting from the one menstruation till the next one is called the menstrual cycle. The one ovum is released as ovulation during the middle of each menstrual cycle. The major events of the menstrual cycle are shown in the cycle starting with the menstrual phase when menstrual flow occur and it is last for 3 to 5 days. Menstrual flow result due to breakdown of endometrial lining of the uterus and blood vessel, which is from liquid that come out through vagina. Menstruation only occur if the released ovum is not fertilized. Lack of the menstruation may be indicative of pregnancy. However, it is may also cause due to the some other underlying causes like stress, poor health. Act. The menstrual phase is followed by the follicular phase. During this phase, primary follicle is the ovary grow to become a fully mature graphene follicles and simultaneously the endometriums of uterus regeneration throughout proliferations. The change in the ovary and the uterus are induced by the change in the level of the pituitary and ovarian hormones. The secretion of graphene endotrophins LHS FHS increases gradually during the follicular phase and stimulated follicular development, as well as the secretion of the androgens by the growing follicles. Both LHS and FHS attain peak level in the middle cycle of about 14 days. Repeat secretion of LS leading to the its maximum level during the middle cycle called LS sugar induced rupture of the graphene follicles and thereby the releases ovulation. The ovulatory phase followed by the luteal phase, during which is the remaining part of the graphene follicle transform as corpus luteum. The corpus luteum secrete the large amount of the progesterone, which is essential for the maintenance of the endometriums. Such as endometrium is necessary for implantations of the fertilized ovum and other events of pregnancy. During the pregnancy, all events of the menstruation cycle stop and there is no menstruation in the absence of fertilization. The corpus luteum degenerate, the cause distinguishes of the endometriums leading to the menstruation, marking a new cycle in a human being's menstrual cycle cases around 15 years age. That is the term as the menopause. Cyclic change in the indicators of the normal reproductive phase extend between menarche and menopause. Fertilization and implantations. The process of the fusions of the sperm within the ovum is called the fertilization. During the fertilization, a sperm is come into contact with the zona pellucida layers of ovum and induce the change in the membrane that block the entry of the additional sperm. Those ensure that only one sperm can fertilize an ovum. The secretion of the acrosome help in the sperm enter into the cytoplasm of the ovum throughout the zona pellucida and the plasma membrane. This is induce the completion of the mitotic divisions of the secondary oocyte. Second mitotic division is also unequal and result in a formation of the second polar body and haploid ovum oocytes. ये तो आप पढ़ते आ रहे हैं बचपन से, कितने क्रोमोसोम क्या होते हैं, कैसे होते हैं, वाई एक्स वाई. The mitotic division start at the zygote, move through the isthmus of the oviduct called cleavage toward the uterus and form 2, 4, 8, 16 daughter cell called blastomeres. The embryo with 8 to 16 blastomeres is called the morula. The morula constitutes to the divide and transform into blastocytes. As it is moved further into the uterus, the blastomeres in the blastocytes are arranged in the outer layer called trophoblast, and inner grouped of the cell attached to the trophoblast called the inner cell mass. The trophoblast layer then get attached to the endometrium and inner cell mass get differentiated as embryo. After attachment, the uterine cells divide rapidly and cover the blastocyte. As result, the blastocyte become embedded in the endometrium of the uterus. This is called the implantation and led to the pregnancy. Pregnancy and embryonic development. After implantation, finger-like projections appear on the trophoblast called coronic villi, which surrounded by the uterine tissues and maternal blood. The coronic villi and uterine tissue become interdigited with each other jointly from the structural and functional unit between developing embryo. Thus, a maternal body called placenta. The placenta facilitated the supply of oxygen, nutrients to the embryo and also removal of the carbon dioxide and excretory wasted material produced by the embryo. The placenta is connected to the embryo throughout the umbilical cords, which is help in the transport of the substance to the ends from embryo. Placenta is also act as an endocrine tissues and process several hormones like human chorionic gonadotropins (HCG), human placental lactogens (HPL), androgen, progesterone, X. In the later phase of pregnancy, hormone called relaxin is also secreted by the ovary. Let us remember that HCG, HPL, and relaxation are the produced in the woman only during the pregnancy. In addition, during the pregnancy, the level of other hormones like androgens, progesterone, cortisol, prolactin, thyroxines acts are the increases several flowed in the maternal blood. Increase the production of the hormone is essential for the supporting the fetal growth and metabolic change in the mother and maintenance of the pregnancy. Immediately after the implantation, the inner cell mass embryo differentiated into an outer layer called ectoderms, inner layer called endoderms and mesoderms. In the human beings, after 1 month of the pregnancy, embryo's heart is formed. The first sign of growing fetus may be noticed by the listening to the heart sound carefully throughout the stethoscope. By the end of the 2nd month of pregnancy, the fetus develop limp and digit. By the end of the 12-week first trimester, most of the major organ system are formed. For example, limbs and external genital organs are well developed. The first movement of the fetus and appearance of the hairs on the heads are usually observed during the 5th month. By the end of the about 24 weeks and of the 2nd trimester, the baby is covered with the fine hair, eyelids separated, and eyelids are formed. By the end of the 9th month of pregnancy, fetus is fully developed and ready to delivery. Parturition and lactations. Average duration of the human pregnancy is about 9 months, which is called the gestation period. And vigorous contraction of the uterus at the end of pregnancy causes expulsion, delivery of the fetus. This process of the delivery of the fetus, childbirth, is called the parturition. Parturition is the induce of complex neuroendocrine mechanisms. The signal for the parturition originated from the fully developed fetus and the placenta, which is induced mild uterine contractions called fetal ejection reflex. This is a trigger releasing oxytocin from the maternal pituitary, and the oxytocin act on the uterine muscle and cause stronger uterine contraction, which in the turn stimulated further secretion of oxytocin. The stimulatory reflex between the uterine contraction and oxytocin secretion continue to resulting in the stronger and stronger contraction. This led to the expulsion of the baby out of the uterus throughout the birth canal. Parturition. Soon after the infant delivered, the placenta is also expelled out the uterus. The mammary glands of the female undergo differentiated during the pregnancy and start producing milk toward the end of the pregnancy by the process called lactation. This help the mother in feeding newborns. The milk produced during the initial 5 days of the lactation is called the colostrum, which contains several antibodies absolutely essential to develop resistance for the newborn babies. Breastfeeding during the initial period of the infant growth is recommended by the doctor for the bringing of the healthy baby. सो गाइज यहाँ पे हमारा चैप्टर कंप्लीट हो चुका है. अगर आपको अच्छा लगता है तो लाइक सब्सक्राइब ज़रूर कर देना है, क्योंकि बहुत मेहनत लगती है और कंटेंट भी जेन्युइन है, और मैं आपको गारंटी देता हूँ कि आपका एक भी क्वेश्चन छूटने वाला नहीं है. तो गाइज थैंक यू वॉचिंग फॉर दिस वीडियो.